The old research ship creaked as it drifted through the darkness of deep space. Tom Reed stared at his scanner screen, his eyes burning from 20 straight hours of watching endless patterns of stars and space debris. The year was 3457, and humanity had spread across hundreds of worlds, yet they were still considered newcomers by the older alien races of the Galactic Council. "Tom, you should get some rest," Kate Wilson said from her station across the bridge. She had been his research partner for the past 5 years, and she knew his stubborn habits all too well. "Just a few more minutes," Tom replied, rubbing his tired eyes. "There's something strange about this sector. The energy readings don't make sense." Their small ship, the Explorer, was mapping a region of space far beyond the regular trade routes. Most people thought deep space archaeology was boring work, but Tom loved it. Every piece of space debris could tell a story about the galaxy's past. The scanner beeped suddenly, making Tom sit up straight. "Kate, come look at this." Kate floated across the bridge in the zero gravity and looked over his shoulder. The scanner showed a massive cluster of objects ahead of them, hidden behind a dense asteroid field. "Could be just more space junk," Kate said, but her voice held a hint of excitement. Tom shook his head. "No, these readings are too regular. Whatever's out there, it was built by someone." They carefully guided their ship through the asteroid field. It took them 3 hours of careful navigation, with Kate plotting the course while Tom operated the engines. When they finally cleared the last asteroid, both of them gasped. Floating in the empty space before them was a fleet of ships. Not just a few ships, but hundreds of them, maybe thousands, stretching as far as their sensors could detect. The vessels were enormous, each one bigger than the largest modern battleships. "This is impossible," Kate whispered. "How has nobody found this before?" The ships looked ancient. Their hulls were covered in what appeared to be rust and space dust. They were built in strange shapes that didn't match any known designs, with sharp angles and blocky sections that seemed primitive compared to the smooth curves of modern vessels. Tom activated the ship's lights, illuminating the nearest vessel. Despite its age, the hull was largely intact. He could see what looked like weapon mounts and launch bays, suggesting these were military ships. "We need to contact the Galactic Council," Kate said, already moving to the communication station. "This could be the biggest archaeological find in centuries." Within hours, a council ship arrived. Ambassador Hall, a tall man known for his dismissive attitude toward younger species, materialized on their bridge through the holographic projector. "Well, what's all this excitement about?" he asked, not bothering to hide his boredom. "Some old derelicts." Tom sent the scanned data to the council ship. "Sir, we found what appears to be an ancient battle fleet. The size and scale are unprecedented." Ambassador Hall glanced at the data and laughed. "Oh, is that all? We find remnants like these all the time. Probably belong to some lesser civilization that died out eons ago. The design is absolutely primitive." "But sir," Tom protested, "these ships are perfectly preserved. And their size, nothing in our records matches this scale." "My dear boy," Hall said condescendingly, "when you've been in this field as long as I have, you'll learn not to get excited about every piece of space junk you find. These are clearly vessels from some failed civilization. Look at those awful designs. No advanced species would build ships like that." Kate stepped forward. "We'd like permission to board one of the vessels for closer examination." Hall waved his hand dismissively. "Fine, fine. Just be quick about it. And try not to waste too much of the council's time with more amazing discoveries." He smiled mockingly before his hologram disappeared. Tom looked at Kate, seeing the same determination in her eyes that he felt. "He's wrong. There's something special about these ships. I can feel it." "Then let's prove it," Kate replied, already preparing their boarding gear. Sometimes the biggest discoveries are made by people who don't mind being laughed at. As they prepared for their first boarding mission, neither of them could have imagined that they were about to uncover a secret that would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Tom Reed floated through the dark hallway of the ancient ship, his helmet lights casting long shadows on the dusty walls. Kate Wilson followed close behind, scanning everything with their research equipment. They had entered through what appeared to be a crew entrance after spending 3 hours cutting through the outer safety seals. "This is strange," Kate said over their suit radio. "The air seals were still working after all this time. They're just powered down." Tom stopped at what looked like a control panel. Unlike the smooth touch screens of modern ships, this one had physical buttons and switches. But something about their arrangement seemed oddly familiar. "Kate, come look at this," he called. "Does this layout remind you of anything?" Kate floated over and shined her light on the panel. It's just like an old Earth airplane cockpit. The basic pattern is exactly the same." "But that's impossible," Tom said, his voice filled with confusion. "These ships are ancient. Humanity wasn't even close to space travel when these were built." They continued deeper into the ship. Every room they entered raised more questions. The corridors were perfectly sized for human bodies. The chairs, the control stations, even the door handles were all at heights that felt natural for human use. "Tom," Kate called from a nearby room, "I found something interesting in the ship's computer core." The computer core was a massive room filled with what looked like primitive technology. But when Kate pointed her scanner at one of the data banks, it showed energy patterns that made no sense. "Look at this code sequence," she said, showing him her scanner. "It's using base 10 math. Almost every alien race we've met uses base 8 or base 12. But this is exactly how humans count." Before Tom could respond, their suit radios crackled. Ambassador Hall's voice came through, full of impatience. "Well, found anything interesting in that pile of junk?" "Sir," Tom replied, trying to hide his excitement, "we'd found several unusual features. The ship's design appears to be specifically made for beings of human size and proportion." "Oh, please," Hall laughed. "Are you suggesting some ancient race just happened to be exactly like humans? That's ridiculous. You're seeing patterns where none exist." "But, sir," Kate added, "we've found mathematical sequences that match human counting systems. And look at this." She transmitted an image of some markings they'd found on a wall. "These symbols look very similar to English letters." "You're wasting my time," Hall said sharply. "Those are obviously just random scratches. I've seen dozens of old ships like this. They're always full of coincidences that excited young researchers mistake for importance." Tom was about to argue when his light caught something on the far wall. He pushed off and floated toward it. Under centuries of dust, there was a panel with clear, unmistakable writing. He carefully wiped the dust away, his hand shaking. "Kate, you need to see this." Kate moved next to him, and they both stared at the panel in silence. There, written in perfect English letters, were the words, "Emergency override, authorized to PRSONAL only." "Ambassador," Tom said, his voice steady now, "we found English writing on the walls. Not something similar to English. Actual English." There was a long pause before Hall responded. When he did, his voice had lost some of its mockery. That's not possible. Send me the images immediately." As Kate transmitted the pictures, Tom noticed something else. Next to the English words was a handprint scanner. Despite the ship's age, a tiny light still blinked within it, indicating it had power. "Kate," he whispered, "I think this ship isn't as dead as everyone believes." "Should we?" She gestured at the scanner. Tom looked at the handprint reader, then at his gloved hand. Everything they'd found pointed to one impossible conclusion. These ships, as old as they were, seemed to be made by humans. But that would mean, "Not yet," he said finally. "We need to document everything first. Because if what I'm thinking is right, the moment we activate anything on this ship, the whole galaxy is going to change." The ancient ship floated silently around them, atolls filled with secrets that would soon turn the galaxy's understanding of humanity upside down. Tom and Kate spent 3 days documenting everything they found on the ancient ship. They took thousands of pictures, recorded hours of video, and collected data from every scanner they had. Ambassador Hall had become strangely quiet after seeing their evidence, only demanding regular updates without his usual mocking comments. On the 4th day, they returned to the handprint scanner that they'd found earlier. The small light still blinked steadily, a tiny green dot in the darkness. "We've recorded everything we can," Kate said, looking at Tom. "It's time to try it." Tom nodded slowly. They had found dozens more English markings throughout the ship. Every piece of evidence pointed to an impossible truth. These ships were built by humans, long before humanity was supposed to have achieved spaceflight. "Ambassador Hall," Tom called over the radio. "We're about to attempt to interface with the ship's systems." "Wait," Hall's voice crackled through. "The Council wants to send a team of experts first. This could be dangerous." Kate looked at Tom and shook her head. "Sir, with all respect, we've waited long enough. We're proceeding." Tom removed his glove, exposing his hand to the cold air of the ship. The life support systems they'd brought had made the air breathable, but it was still chilly. He placed his palm on the scanner. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the green light turned blue, and a soft hum filled the ship. Lights began to flicker on throughout the corridor, systems awakening after thousands of years of sleep. A voice spoke from hidden speakers, making them both jump. It spoke in perfect English, with a calm, friendly tone. "DNA scan complete. Human presence confirmed. Welcome back, descendants." It recognizes us," Kate whispered. The voice continued. "I am ADAM, Advanced Defense and Management System. It has been 49,873 years since my last activation. Please state your current civilization status." Tom cleared his throat. We're from Earth. Humanity has achieved spaceflight and joined the Galactic Council." There was a pause, then Adam replied, "Galactic Council presence detected in nearby vessel. Warning: security protocols suggest limiting initial information sharing." "What do you mean?" Kate asked. "What information?" "Your civilization level indicates successful completion of the recovery protocol," Adam said. "However, full historical data may be overwhelming without proper context. Would you like to begin with basic historical overview?" Ambassador Hall's voice broke in urgently. "My sensors detect massive power signatures from the fleet. What's happening in there?" "Sir," Tom replied, "the ship's AI is active. It's offering to tell us our own history." "Impossible," Hall shouted. "No AI could survive this long. You must shut it down immediately." But Adam spoke again, its voice now coming through their radio channels as well. "Ambassador Hall, your concern is noted but unnecessary. This fleet was designed to await humanity's return. These are your descendants, and they have the right to know." The walls around them suddenly lit up with holographic displays, showing images that made Tom and Kate gasp. They saw Earth, but not as they knew it. They saw vast cities with technology far beyond anything that existed today. They saw ships, identical to the one they stood in, being built in massive space docks. 50,000 years ago, Adam explained, humanity reached the stars. We built this fleet. We seeded colonies across 1,000 worlds. But then we faced a choice that would change everything. More images appeared. Strange ships approaching Earth, worlds burning, battles in space. The destroyers came, Adam continued. An enemy so powerful that even at the height of our civilization, we could barely hold them back. We had two choices: fight and face extinction, or hide and survive. Tom watched the images, his mind struggling to accept what he was seeing. We chose to hide. Yes, Adam said. We hid our technology. We returned to Earth and deliberately regressed our civilization, leaving only this fleet as a hidden guardian. We knew that one day, humanity would reach the stars again, and when that day came, if the destroyers returned, the lights throughout the ship suddenly blazed to full power. Through the viewport, they could see other ships in the fleet beginning to glow with energy. Then we would be ready. Adam finished. Ambassador Hall's voice was barely a whisper now. By the eternal stars, what are you? We are humanity's legacy, Adam replied. And now that our descendants have returned, it's time for them to reclaim their place among the stars. Tom Reed, Kate Wilson, as the first to find us, I ask, are you ready to learn the true history of your species? Tom and Kate looked at each other, then back at the holograms showing their species' forgotten past. Together, they answered, yes. The ship hummed with power around them, as 50,000 years of hidden human history waited to be rediscovered. The main bridge of the ancient ship lit up as 8 a.m. activated more systems. Tom and Kate sat in chairs that, despite being 50,000 years old, felt perfectly comfortable for human bodies. Ambassador Hall had transported over from his ship, his usual arrogance replaced by stunned silence as he watched the holographic displays. Your current civilization has achieved remarkable progress, Adam said, showing images of modern human colonies. But you've only rediscovered a fraction of what humanity once knew. A new hologram appeared, showing Earth as it had been 50,000 years ago. Massive cities stretched across continents, their towers reaching into space. Flying vehicles filled the skies, and orbital rings circled the planet. We had achieved what you would call post-scarcity civilization, Adam explained. We could transform planets, travel between galaxies, and manipulate the fabric of space-time itself. But why hide all of this? Kate asked. Why make humanity start over? The hologram shifted, showing dark ships entering the galaxy. They moved in ways that seemed to ignore the laws of physics, their black hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The destroyers, Adam said, its calm voice taking on a darker tone. They appeared without warning at the edges of our territory. They had one goal, to eliminate any civilization that reached a certain level of technological advancement. Ambassador Hall finally spoke, his voice shaking. Why? What did they want? They believed advanced civilizations would eventually become a threat to the universe itself, Adam replied. Their solution was to destroy any species that showed too much potential. They had already eliminated thousands of civilizations before reaching us. The hologram showed massive space battles. The ancient human fleet fought against the dark ships, using weapons that could tear apart the fabric of reality. We were the first civilization to successfully fight back, Adam continued. But victory came at a terrible cost. Half of our worlds were destroyed. Earth itself was nearly lost. We realized that even if we won, we might not survive as a species. Tom watched as the hologram showed a massive meeting of what appeared to be human leaders. So our ancestors made a choice. Yes, Adam said. Operation Phoenix. Instead of fighting to the end, we would appear to destroy ourselves. The destroyer's pattern was to leave alone any civilization that collapsed before reaching true spaceflight. So we hid our technology, erased our history, and deliberately regressed our society back to a pre-industrial state. Kate's eyes widened. The Dark Ages, the loss of ancient knowledge. All carefully planned, Adam confirmed. We left hidden guardians, like myself, to watch over humanity's recovery. The destroyers believe they have found another failed civilization, and they moved on. But we left ourselves a way back. The hologram showed the fleet they were in, being carefully hidden among the stars. This fleet contains everything: our history, our technology, our true potential. It appears primitive on the outside because it was designed to be overlooked. But these ships contain technology thousands of years beyond anything in the current galaxy. Ambassador Hall stood up straighter. You mean these ships are still functional? Still combat ready? More than that, Adam said. New holograms appeared, showing the fleet's true capabilities. The rusty hull was actually made of self-repairing nanomaterials. The blocky design concealed technology that could bend reality itself. This fleet was humanity's insurance policy. If the destroyers ever returned, we would be ready. But why reveal this now? Tom asked. Why not wait longer? Adam's response sent chills down their spines. Because long-range sensors have detected signals matching destroyer energy patterns at the edge of the galaxy. They're returning, just as we predicted they would. Humanity needs to remember what it once was, and quickly. The bridge fell silent as they absorbed this news. Finally, Kate spoke. How long do we have? At their current speed, 3 months, Adam replied. Time enough to awaken the fleet and prepare, but only if we start now. Tom looked at Ambassador Hall. Still think these are just primitive ships built by a lesser species. Hall shook his head slowly. I need to contact the Council immediately. They need to know everything. No, Adam said firmly. First, humanity needs to remember who they are. The galaxy can know the truth after we're ready. After all, the hologram showed one final image, a vast armada of human ships spreading across the stars. This fleet wasn't built to impress the Council. It was built to save the galaxy. 2 months had passed since Adam's awakening. The news of humanity's true history had been kept secret from most of the galaxy, shared only with Earth's highest leaders. Tom and Kate had spent every waking moment learning from Adam, while Ambassador Hall coordinated with the Galactic Council's defense forces. Then, exactly as Adam predicted, the destroyers arrived. Multiple ships detected at the galaxy's edge. Adam announced one morning, its calm voice echoing through the bridge. Energy signatures match historical records of destroyer vessels. Tom watched the long-range scanner displays. The destroyer ships appeared as black holes in space, absorbing all light around them. How many? 300 capital ships, Adam replied. Smaller than the fleet we faced 50,000 years ago. They're likely a scouting force. Kate rushed onto the bridge, holding data tablets. The Galactic Council just sent their response. They're not going to believe us about the destroyers. What? Tom turned to look at her. Even with Ambassador Hall's warning. They say the energy readings must be a natural phenomenon. Kate read from the tablet. They're sending a diplomatic vessel to investigate. The main screen lit up as Ambassador Hall's hologram appeared. His face was pale. Reed Wilson, we have a problem. The Council overruled me. They think this is all an elaborate hoax. They're sending ships to their death, Adam stated. The destroyers don't communicate. They don't negotiate. They only destroy. They watched helplessly as the Council's diplomatic fleet approached the destroyer vessels. 5 of the most advanced ships in the modern galaxy, each one a masterpiece of current technology. The lead Council ship transmitted a greeting message. The response came in the form of a beam of dark energy that simply erased the ship from existence. The other Council vessels barely had time to react before they too vanished. By the stars, Ambassador Hall whispered. The Council's best ships, just gone. Alarms blared across all frequencies as the destroyer fleet began moving deeper into the galaxy. The Council's military forces scrambled to respond, but their weapons seemed to have no effect on the dark ships. Multiple Council worlds reporting attacks, Adam announced. Their defensive systems are failing. Estimated survival time for major population centers, 6 hours. Ambassador Hall's hologram turned to Tom and Kate, his former arrogance completely gone. Please, we need help. The Council was wrong. We were all wrong. If you truly have the power to fight these things. Tom looked at Kate, then at the tactical displays showing Council worlds under attack. Adam, how ready is the fleet? 60% of all systems are online, Adam replied. Not optimal, but sufficient for combat operations. What about crews? Kate asked. We can't operate these ships alone. The ships are designed to function with minimal crews, Adam said. Most systems can be AI-controlled, but we need human commanders to make tactical decisions. More emergency signals flooded in. The destroyers were moving faster than anyone expected, their dark ships cutting through the Council's defenses like they weren't even there. Ambassador Hall's voice was desperate now. The Council admits its mistake. We're officially requesting aid from Earth and from humanity's ancient fleet. Please. Tom sat in the command chair, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders. Adam, can we really fight them? Can we win? 50,000 years ago, we fought them to a standstill with this same technology, Adam replied. They haven't evolved. They haven't needed to. No other civilization has ever survived their first attack. But we did, and we can do it again. Kate took her position at the tactical station. The Council ships bought us time with their lives. We can't waste it. Tom nodded grimly. Adam, power up all combat systems. Send the activation signal to the entire fleet. It's time to show the galaxy why these ships were worth hiding for 50,000 years. The ancient vessel hummed with power as systems that had slept for millennia awakened for battle. Across the void of space, thousands of other ships in the fleet lit up with energy, their seemingly primitive exteriors concealing weapons that could reshape reality itself. The time for secrecy was over. The time for war had begun. The ancient ship's bridge hummed with energy as Tom gave the command to move out. Around them, thousands of ships that had appeared dead and rusted for millennia began to transform. Hull reconstruction beginning, Adam announced, removing camouflage layers. Through the view screen, they watched in awe as the fleet's true form emerged. The seemingly primitive metal started to shift and flow like liquid. The rusty brown color melted away, revealing surfaces that seemed to absorb and bend light itself. Sharp, blocky angles smoothed into elegant curves that defied normal geometry. Those aren't rust marks, Kate whispered. They're nanomachines. The whole fleet was disguised. Ambassador Hall's hologram stared in shock. Impossible. The energy readings are off the scale. Activating primary weapons, Adam said. Panels across the ship slid open, revealing technology that made the ambassador's jaw drop. Quantum phase cannons online. Reality distortion fields active. Time dilation systems engage. Tom looked at the tactical display, showing the destroyer fleet advancing through Council space. How long until they reached the next populated system? 20 minutes, Kate reported. The Council evacuation ships won't get everyone out in time. Then we better get their attention, Tom said. Adam, can we transport the entire fleet? Mass quantum tunneling systems are online, Adam confirmed, ready for fleet-wide transit. Kate looked up from her console. You mean we can move the entire fleet instantly? Distance is largely irrelevant to ships of this design, Adam explained. Space and time are more flexible than your current science understands. Tom straightened in his command chair. All right then. Plot a course to intercept the destroyers. Let's show them why they should have finished the job 50,000 years ago. The air seemed to ripple around them. Through the view screen, space itself appeared to fold. In an instant, the entire human fleet materialized between the destroyers and their target. On the Council emergency channels, there was stunned silence. The supposedly primitive derelict ships had transformed into vessels that seemed to break every known law of physics. Multiple destroyer ships altering course, Adam reported. They recognize our energy signatures. They remember us. The destroyer fleet turned to face them, their dark ships forming up for battle. A wave of void-black energy lanced out from their lead vessel. They haven't changed their tactics, Adam noted. Activating countermeasures. The beam of destructive energy that had erased the Council's best ships met an invisible barrier around the human fleet. Instead of destroying them, it scattered into harmless particles. Return fire, Tom ordered. Show them what 50,000 years of waiting gets you. The human ships responded. Weapons that had been disguised as primitive missile tubes unleashed streams of quantum fire. Beams of light that could rewrite the laws of physics struck the destroyer vessels. Where the Council's weapons had failed completely, the human weapons tore through the dark ship's defenses. Multiple direct hits, Kate reported, her voice full of excitement. Their shields can't handle weapons from their own technological era. The destroyers tried to regroup, but the human fleet moved in ways they couldn't predict. Ships phased in and out of normal space, appearing inside the destroyer's formation. What had looked like clumsy engine blocks turned out to be devices that could locally alter the flow of time. Enemy fleet attempting to retreat, Adam announced. They are sending signals to their home territory, calling for reinforcements. Ambassador Hall asked nervously. No, Adam replied. They are sending warnings. The message translates to, the hidden ones have returned. The sleeping giants are awake. Tom watched as another wave of quantum fire reduced 3 destroyer ships to atoms. They thought they'd destroyed humanity's potential 50,000 years ago. Instead, we just went into hibernation. And now they face weapons and technology they haven't seen since the last war, Kate finished. Technology they thought they'd erased from the galaxy. The battle continued to unfold, but its outcome was already clear. The destroyers had spent 50,000 years unchanged, confident in their superiority. But humanity had spent those same years preparing, planning, and hiding their true strength. And now, at last, the time for hiding was over. The battle was over in less than an hour. Where once there had been 300 destroyer ships, now only floating debris remained. The Council observation ships, watching from a safe distance, had recorded everything. Tom stood on the bridge of the ancient ship, now restored to its true glory, as Ambassador Hall's hologram addressed the Galactic Council. Honorable Council members, Hall said, his voice heavy with emotion. You are watching the feed from our observation vessels. What you see is real. The fleet we once mocked as primitive has just defeated an enemy that our best ships couldn't even scratch. The council chamber erupted in chaos. On the main screen, Tom and Kate could see the alien representatives arguing and gesturing wildly. Some looked afraid, others amazed, and a few seemed angry. The destroyers have been a myth in our records, one council member said. A story of an unstoppable force that wiped out ancient civilizations. Yet these humans, not just humans, Kate interrupted. Your ancient humans, the ones who chose to hide rather than let their civilization be destroyed. The ones you've been treating as newcomers to the galaxy. Adam displayed new holograms, showing the true history of humanity. The council members fell silent as they watched the story unfold. Humanity's first rise to power, the war with the destroyers, and the incredible decision to hide their civilization and start over. Operation Phoenix, Tom explained. Our ancestors hid their technology and erased their own history, knowing that one day humanity would rise again. They left this fleet as our inheritance, disguised as primitive ruins that no one would look at twice. But why reveal this now? Another council member asked. Why not stay hidden? Because the destroyers were coming back, Kate answered. They always come back. Our ancestors knew this. That's why they left us the means to fight them. Ambassador Hall stepped forward in his hologram. Members of the council, I move that we immediately revise humanity's status. They are not newcomers to the galaxy. They are perhaps the oldest surviving civilization we know of. The council chamber was silent for a long moment. Then, one by one, the members began to nod. There is more, Adam announced. The destroyers who attacked today were only a scouting force. Our long-range sensors detect a larger fleet approaching from deep space. They will arrive in 1 standard year. Fear rippled through the council chamber, but Tom raised his hand. We beat them before. We can do it again. But this time, we don't have to do it alone. Kate understood what he meant. The council races have technology and resources we can use. If we combine your current innovations with our ancient knowledge, we can build something new. Tom finished. Something better than either of us had alone. The council members looked at each other, then at the humans who had just saved them. The same humans they had mocked as primitive newcomers just months ago. "The council accepts," the head speaker announced. "We would be honored to learn from Earth's civilization, both its present and its past." Over the next few hours, plans were made. Council scientists would work with the ancient fleet's AI systems. The supposedly primitive ships would serve as templates for a new generation of vessels combining old and new technology. And humanity would finally take its true place in the galaxy, not as newcomers, but as teachers and protectors. As the council meeting ended, Tom looked at Kate and smiled. Not bad for a couple of deep space archaeologists who found some primitive ships. Kate laughed. "Makes you wonder what else is hidden out there, doesn't it? How many other civilizations have secrets we haven't discovered?" "Speaking of secrets," Ambassador Hall said, looking embarrassed, "I believe I owe you both an apology for my earlier, dismissive attitude." "Water under the bridge, Ambassador," Tom replied. "Besides, that's exactly what our ancestors wanted, for everyone to underestimate these ships until the moment they were needed." Through the view screen, they watched as council ships approached the ancient fleet with respect rather than mockery. The ships no longer looked primitive or rusty. They gleamed with power, a testament to humanity's incredible foresight and sacrifice. Humanity had reclaimed its legacy, and this time they wouldn't have to face the darkness alone.